country who want and need insurance coverage for basic preventive health care services, including family planning. Where are the women? Of course, this hearing is about rights, contraception, and birth control. It's about the fact that women want to have access to basic health services, family planning through their health insurance plan.
Here with us now, a Democratic representative from Maryland and ranking member of the House Committee on Oversight and Government Reform, Congressman Elijah. Congressman, before we get to the absurd picture that we just saw of basically looks like an all-male locker room in a golf club talking about contraception, and come back to all males talking about contraception with you, let's talk about the mortgage settlement. I know that you're vitally interested in that piece of business that was just done. $26 billion paid out by a series of big banks to help resolve the mortgage crisis in this country. But one thing that a lot of people wonder about, and maybe you can lend some insight into it, Fannie and Freddie played very little role in this mortgage settlement, and yet they are a huge component of the mortgage problem. What's up with that?
That was the most upsetting part of this entire agreement for me. Fannie and Freddie has about 65, anywhere from between 60 and 65% of the mortgages. And Mr. DeMarco, the conservator over Fannie and Freddie, basically said that they would not participate with regard to the write-down of principal portion of the settlement, and that was extremely sad. He just will not move. There have been 18 of us in the Congress who have been pushing him to do more with regard to writing down principal. He refuses to do so. And again, the Attorney Generals, I give them credit. I think overall it's a good agreement, but I got to tell you, when you are leaving out 60 to 65% of the mortgages, that's a real problem. So Congressman, how does that impact what the banks are now going to try to do under the fiat of, the Attorney General of the United States looking at them, the control of the currency looking at them? How does Fannie and Freddie being excluded from this, doesn't that hamper the banks? It certainly is not helpful, and I'm still hopeful that Mr. DeMarco will change his mind. He's the one individual that difference. I have written him letters asking him to take a look at it, but he right now, I think he's looking at the possibility, but it does not help. Because again, when you're talking about 65% of the mortgages, that's a real problem. But let me say that there are a lot of people who will be helped by this agreement. And there are a lot of people who were drowning with regard to their mortgages, and this gives them an opportunity to get some relief. And I think that's what the Attorney Generals were looking at. And I have a lot of respect for the Attorney Generals. After all, they are both Republican and Democrat, and they are the #1 law officers in their state. So let's give them some credit, because I think they tried to work through this and come out with the best solution.
Congressman Cummings, it's Lawrence O'Donnell. At the silliest hearing, I believe, that your committee has ever held in its history yesterday, in the back room, when you were talking to the Republicans, do you get the feeling that they know how much trouble they're in on this and that they've made a huge mistake here?
Lawrence, it pains me to say this, but I don't think they have a clue. And that's the sad part about it. When I sat there and I looked out at those men talking about women's reproductive rights and their and contraception, I said to myself, suppose we were here talking about prostate cancer, and the only people on the panel were women. Men would be alarmed, and then to hear Mr. Freeze, this fellow who's helping Mrs. Santorum so much, to say what he said. And although it sounds funny, it is very, very, very insulting to women.
We have breaking news on that, Congressman. Foster Freeze this morning has tweeted an apology, and he asks for our forgiveness. He did, in his tweet, as he did last night on my show, that he did not mean it as actual medical advice to anyone that they should.
Well, I'm glad I'm glad he at least apologized, because I can tell you, after that hearing, Lawrence, you said it's one of the worst that we've had. We got more social media response from that hearing than from anything we've done yet. and 95% of it was from women. And there were a lot of men who were embarrassed and upset also.
Well, Congressman, hopefully you'll have a much better day now that you know that Mr. Freeze has apologized to the nation. I know that we will.
He just did it?
Yeah, he just did it.
Yeah, get on Twitter.
Boy,
You'll see.
I feel pretty powerful here.
All owed to you, Congressman.
Elijah Cummings, thanks very much for joining us. Up next, former Undersecretary of State Charlotte Beers, who argues that working women have it tougher today than they used to. We're going to be right back in a moment.